Alright, I'm about to take the biggest risk of my YouTube career so far. I'm going to be talking about my unpopular movie opinions.
This is not going to go the way you think.
In today's video, I decided to talk about some of mine because I want to and I can. I've been doing YouTube for quite a while now, and from what I've noticed doing YouTube for about 2 years, I've never really been consistent with YouTube until recently. And yeah, from what I've noticed doing YouTube for quite a while now is I have a lot of unpopular opinions because I state some of my opinions on my favorite Spider-Man movies, my favorite Spider-Man actors, Star Wars. Anything Star Wars gets a lot of angry people in my comment section telling me to delete my YouTube channel, or I'm an idiot for having this opinion, or just whatever, making things personal because of reasons. I've noticed some of my opinions are either controversial or just unpopular. So I've done a little research on some of my opinions, and I've noticed that some of the things I believe are, like, when it comes to movies and TV shows, are unpopular. And I have like about 30 unpopular opinions, so I'm going to talk about some of them in this video. I do plan on making this a series about my unpopular opinions, about my audience's unpopular opinions, and maybe I'll just look up like other people's unpopular opinions or whatever. I'm planning on making this a series on my channel. I have like 3 other types of series on this YouTube channel. I have video essays, reviews, rankings. Unpopular opinions is going to be a new category for my channel. Specifically movies and TV shows. I only cover movies and TV shows on this channel anyway, so just a heads up, it's not gonna be like every little unpopular opinion when it comes to anything. It's just, this is specifically about movies and TV shows. I'm hoping for several responses to my unpopular opinions in the comment sections below. Keyword is hoping, because people love to get really angry and personal about opinions that they don't agree with in YouTube comment sections, because that's the internet for some reason. No idea why people are like that on the internet, but it is what it is. They're not like that in real life. I discuss many movies and TV shows with my friends, and we all like have fun debates. We don't get like personal and call each other's idiots for thinking this movie's great or this movie's bad. It's just, it's weird. People on the internet are weird from what I've noticed. And I never was someone that went on the internet before going on YouTube back a couple years ago. I mean, I was on YouTube, I watched a couple YouTube videos, but I never like read comment sections. And until I started YouTube a couple years ago, I was like, wow, people are really rude to each other when it comes to movie and TV show opinions. It's like kind of crazy. And also I discovered Reddit was a thing. I don't have a Reddit account, but I do read Reddit sometimes just to see like what the opinion is of certain people for like movies and TV shows. And again, even on Reddit, people are really rude. And I don't have any other social media besides YouTube. I never had Instagram or Twitter or anything. I'm really ancient, I guess you could say. YouTube is the only social media I ever had, and I only just started doing it a couple years ago. And even before I started doing YouTube, I only watched videos. I never commented and ever really looked at comment sections. But yeah, let's keep things cool. Let's keep things chill in the comment sections below. Let me know your unpopular opinions so I could feature them in my next unpopular opinions video. I'm not sure when that's gonna come out. I'll probably release the next unpopular opinion video in a couple weeks. So yeah, let me know what your unpopular opinions are, and I'll feature your guys' unpopular opinions in my next video. Your comment, like you'll see your channel, your comment, and everything. Alright, with that all being said, let's get on to some of my unpopular opinions. I'll only be listing 10 for this video. I think the best Star Wars TV show of all time is Star Wars Rebels. It's better than Andor, it's better than The Mandalorian, it's better than Kenobi, it's better than The Clone Wars. Okay, maybe it's not better than all those. I mean, I think there's some of those shows are up to debate. I think Andor might be the best written Star Wars show of all time. I hear a lot of people say that. Andor is my second favorite Star Wars show of all time. But number 1 is Star Wars Rebels. I think it's a pretty good show. And that's another thing. I don't think any of the Star Wars shows are great. I think all of them have great moments in them, but as a whole, from beginning to end, I don't think any of them are great overall. Star Wars Rebels is pretty good though. I do like the characters a lot. Ezra, the whole Ghost crew are some of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time. Ezra is my favorite character on the show. Also, Star Wars Rebels features my favorite Star Wars episodes of all time. Like Twilight of the Apprentice is just a masterpiece in my opinion. The World Between Worlds was a great episode. Twin Suns is beautiful. The finale was amazing. And this show has just a lot of great moments. Now, the problems with this show, I mean, there are some problems. I think there's a lot of boring episodes. Not a lot, there is a good amount of boring episodes. But I would never say anything got really bad or unwatchable. I think this show has a lot of great highs and just some mid stuff in it. And a good amount of boring, or a small amount of boring, I should say. I also love how this show takes place during the original trilogy, which is one of my favorite eras in all of Star Wars. The Old Republic era and the original trilogy era are probably my two favorite eras of Star Wars. So that gives this show some bonus points as well. One more thing I'll say before moving on, because I'm sure this might get brought up in the comments section below, because people are going to say the Clone Wars is better, and this and that about the Clone Wars. People really love Clone Wars. I think Clone Wars is a pretty good show, just like Rebels. I would give Rebels an 85%. I give the Clone Wars an 80%. I think a lot of these Star Wars shows are just pretty good. Nothing like masterpiece level of greatness or whatever. My problem with the Clone Wars is the first 2 seasons, or mainly the first season, is just unwatchable. And when the Clone Wars got bad, it was really, really bad in my opinion. Like, holy crap, there's just some really bad stuff in the Clone Wars, and it had, like, with Rebels, boring episodes, mid episodes, but when the show was great, it was incredible. Just want to say that about the Clone Wars, because I'm sure people will bring up the Clone Wars in the comments below, and people think the Clone Wars is whatever. And also, I don't love the era of the prequels, so that kind of knocks it down a bit for me as well. But yeah, unpopular opinion, Star Wars Rebels is my favorite Star Wars show. And I know there's some people that share that opinion, but from the little research I did, it looks like saying Rebels is your favorite Star Wars show of all time is unpopular, or at least it's controversial. Alright, this next unpopular opinion of mine is, I think it's more controversial than it is unpopular, because I do see a good amount of people sharing this opinion. I believe Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad. Or at least I like Better Call Saul more than Breaking Bad. I know Better Call Saul is a slower show, and it's not as exciting as Breaking Bad was at times. Both are great shows, by the way. I think Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul have amazing cinematography, amazing writing, amazing directing, some of the best shows ever made. Things I like about Better Call Saul more than Breaking Bad is I like the characters more, and I think the writing has improved from Breaking Bad. I think the writers from Breaking Bad have just improved on their work and have just gotten better with their craft. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul are just really close for me personally. I think they're just like neck and neck. But Better Call Saul is just a little bit better than Breaking Bad. I just think the characters are better. The writing, the directing, the cinematography is just more creative and just better in my opinion. Alright, I'm not sure how much of an unpopular opinion this one is, but I'm not a fan of No Country for Old Men. Now, I say I think it's unpopular because the critics and audiences love this movie. I'm not a fan of it. I found myself to be bored of this movie. And before you say, oh, you just don't like slow movies, or you're not smart enough to understand this movie, I like shows like The Wire and Better Call Saul, and I like shows that, or movies in general, that are slow. And I do like the movies that are action-packed as well, but I do also like the slow burn movies. And this movie does have action, and I found myself to be bored with this movie, and I didn't understand a lot of the things that happened in this movie. I just didn't get it, and I think there were hidden messages in this movie that connected to stuff in real life, and I don't really know. I tried looking into it. Maybe I gotta rewatch the movie again. I watched it only twice, and both times I don't understand it, and I just didn't really enjoy it. For the people that did enjoy the movie, tell me why it's a great movie. And I'm sure it is a great movie. It's just, I didn't get it, and it's just not for me, I guess. I believe there only should have been one Matrix movie. I only like the first Matrix movie. I think the rest of them are trash, in my opinion, especially the fourth one. The second and third one aren't really good, or at least I didn't really like them. I think the first movie was pretty good, nothing amazing. They jumped the shark with the second and third movie, and the fourth movie is just ridiculous. I know a lot of people like the trilogy, and I know a lot of people just don't like the fourth movie, and then there's a lot of people that do like the fourth movie. I think the fourth movie is more of a controversial movie. I don't really know. I didn't pay attention to a lot of the reviews. I only saw like 2 or 3 reviews for The Matrix 4. It seems like a lot of people really don't like that movie, and it seems like a lot of people really do like that movie. So I don't know what the opinion is on Matrix 4. I really just thought it was ridiculous. The second and third movie I just think are just not good. Jump the shark, ruin the cool concept of the first movie and with Neo. But yeah, there should have only been one movie in my opinion, and there was no need for sequels. I think some movies really don't need sequels, and I think there are some movies that really do need sequels, and I think The Matrix is one of those movies that should have never been a quadrilogy. So my next unpopular opinion, I think all the Karate Kid movies are pretty good. First one's obviously the best. Second one's pretty good, and I think the third one was just okay. Second one was a little ridiculous, like with Daniel fighting to the death and whatever, and then the third one was just a little bonkers as well, and then Daniel kind of fell to the dark side by joining Cobra Kai. I think the show Cobra Kai handles that ridiculous concept in a pretty good way, and the show Cobra Kai makes the movie even better. But I always did enjoy Karate Kid 3. The only Karate Kid movies I did not enjoy was Karate Kid 4 and the reboot with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. I do hope though that we eventually see Hilary Swank's character in Cobra Kai. Completely off topic, but it's just something I always wanted to see. Even though I didn't like Karate Kid 4, I did like Hilary Swank in that movie, and I hope I do see her in Cobra Kai in the final season, which I'm really sad that's ending. Point is, I think all 3 Karate Kid movies are pretty good. I think The Mandalorian is a little overrated. Now, here's something that I've noticed with the Star Wars fandom. They're super extreme about every movie or TV show. It's either the movie or show is terrible or it's great. There's like no in between for Star Wars movies and TV shows, and for a lot of like the canon Disney Star Wars era, I think most of it has been solid. I mean, there has been some pretty bad stuff in my opinion. I think the Book of Boba Fett wasn't that good. I think the Rise of Skywalker wasn't that good. Actually, I think the Rise of Skywalker was really bad. It seems like with the Star Wars fandom, they live in the extremes. Like, it's either something's terrible or something's a masterpiece. And you can never say like anything's okay or it's just solid. Some things are good here, some things are bad. It's like, no, you have to either hate everything or you have to love everything. Point is, with The Mandalorian, it's a solid show. I give it like an 80%. I don't think it's great or bad or mid. I think it's a solid Star Wars show. I think in general, it's just a pretty solid TV series. I think the first season was solid, the second season was solid, and the third season was solid. I don't think the first season was a masterpiece, the second season was a masterpiece, and the third season was bad. I know a lot of people didn't like the third season. Or I shouldn't say a lot of people. I know there's some people that didn't like the third season because depending on who you talk to in the Star Wars fan base, talk to people on a specific part of the internet or another part of the internet or outside the internet, I think the third season was solid. Along with the first 2 seasons, I didn't see a dip in quality like some people did. I think the first 2 seasons are a little overrated, and I think the third season is underrated, especially if people think it was bad. I'm not a fan of the Christopher Reeves Superman movies. I think most Superman fans are a fan of those movies, so me saying that is very unpopular to a lot of Superman fans. When I think of Superman and when I think the best of Superman, I think of Smallville and the Superman animated TV series. The Christopher Reeve Superman is nothing really like the animated Superman show and Smallville. I appreciate the Superman movies for what they did for the superhero genre and making Superman a really popular hero, because those movies really created a lot of Superman fans. I just have some problems with those movies, and when I think of Superman for like what I think the perfect Superman is, I don't think of those movies. And I think they have aged pretty badly. I think the Christopher Reeve Superman is an accurate portrayal of Superman for around the time that those movies came out. I can't picture this Superman in like any great all-time Superman stories like All-Star Superman or Superman Doomsday or this Superman interacting with members of the Justice League. I just can't see this Superman based off like what he was like in these movies being in any iconic Superman stories. I will say though, I think the best Christopher Reeve Superman movie is the first one. I know a lot of people like the second one, but isn't the second one just kind of pointless because depending on which version of Superman 2 you watch, one version has Superman pretty much erase like the entire movie, and the other one has him erasing all of Lois's memories. I think both of them are just really unsatisfying and kind of makes the movie pointless in my opinion. The first movie doesn't feel like it's pointless. You have a decent enough story, and Lex Luthor is the villain. Not really a fan of Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor. And also there's one really great moment in this movie where Lois dies, and I think Christopher Reeves does a great job with that scene, and then unfortunately that scene is ruined by him time traveling, by spinning around the world really fast and reverses time. I thought that's just stupid. And people say Superman's like really overpowered now. I mean, the Christopher Reeves Superman movies, he's literally a god and can do whatever. I mean, he's so overpowered and he could literally do anything. And also, why doesn't he just time travel every time something goes wrong? I mean, he could just reverse time over and over and over again. It's just, I really hate that the Superman movie did that. But anyways, I'm not a fan, and I also view the Superman Christopher Reeves movies the same way I would view the Batman 1960s TV show and the George Reeves Superman from the 50s. I have a lot of respect for those versions of Superman and Batman. They were like the first ones. I'm just not a fan, and I have like no interest in rewatching any of them. Maybe once in a while just for like the heck of it, but I really don't have any interest in watching the Christopher Reeve Superman movies or the Batman 60s TV show. I mean, it's campy, it is what it is. It's just nothing like great in my opinion. I don't think the Superman Christopher Reeves movies are some of the best superhero movies of all time. That's just me though. My next unpopular opinion, I think Iron Fist was a decent show and I think it got too much hate. I think the first season was okay. I liked all the characters. I liked Danny Rand. I mean, I kind of liked him. I think he had some problems, but I think it was just all part of his character arc. And in the second season, I think it was a solid season. I enjoyed it a lot more than the first season. I think the action got a lot better. I enjoyed Danny Rand. I enjoyed all the side characters in the show, and I was really excited for the third season. Unfortunately, got canceled along with all the other Netflix MCU shows. If the Defenders cast ever comes back to the MCU, I hope they bring back Finn Jones as Iron Fist. I'm a fan. I think he has good chemistry with Luke Cage. They could do a Heroes for Hire show as well. And I was pretty excited for the third season, but it got canceled, and I think the show was good. I think the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy is overrated. I'm going to keep this short because I've talked about Sam Raimi Spider-Man a good amount on my channel, and I'll leave my videos talking about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy in the comments below, and I'll also put them in the description box. But to keep it short, I think the first movie is pretty good, the second movie is okay, the third movie is terrible and ruins the characters from the previous two movies, and it ruins all the setup that Spider-Man 2 had with Harry, and the Venom story is just terrible. Retconning Uncle Ben's death was really dumb, and all of the characters are very unlikable. Even Peter, like, he literally hit Mary Jane, like, that was just so dumb, and it really didn't need to happen. Also, I didn't like what they did with Gwen Stacy either. The reason why Spider-Man 3 was bad wasn't because of Sam Raimi. I mean, maybe he had a bit to do with the reason why Spider-Man 3 is not that good, because the way he wrote Mary Jane, I think, was not that good at all, and retconning Uncle Ben's death was just really pointless and comes out of nowhere. Having the Sandman be the one that killed Uncle Ben was just really dumb in my opinion. The reason why I think Spider-Man 2 is just okay is because there's a lot of great stuff in the movie, and then there's just a lot of things I really do not like. I do not like everything that they did with Mary Jane. I think she was really annoying. There's also some really cringy lines in the movie, and I didn't like the way they did the Spider-Man No More storyline. They changed it from the comics in a way that I didn't like. And the first Spider-Man movie I think is pretty good. It's a little corny and it didn't age that great in my opinion, but still I think it's a pretty good movie. Also, I do like Mary Jane in the first Spider-Man movie. I don't like her in the other Spider-Man movies, but I think she was pretty good in this movie. Unfortunately, it's not comic accurate Mary Jane. I don't think we'll ever get comic accurate Mary Jane in terms of personality and everything, unless the MCU decides to turn Zendaya into a more comic accurate Mary Jane in terms of personality. But yeah, that's a little short summary of why I'm not the biggest fan of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, and I do think it's a little overrated. Don't get me wrong, I think there's a lot of great aspects to those movies, and I think it has a lot of heart. The music's amazing, the directing's really good. There's a lot of aspects to these movies I feel should be in more superhero movies, and I love how serious that they take this universe and they take the characters. In the end though, I do think it is overrated, which is a very controversial thing to think and to say. I do know there are some people that don't like the Raimi movies that much as well, or think they are overrated like I do. But let's be honest with ourselves, with the fans that think the Raimi movies are overrated. We are in the minority because Raimi has a lot of fans, and the Raimi trilogy created a lot of Spider-Man fans too. Alright, and the last unpopular opinion I'll talk about today is I think the Star Wars sequels are better than the Star Wars prequels. And just saying that, I gave some Star Wars prequel fans an aneurysm. I'll keep it short because no matter what I say, people are just gonna say I'm wrong, and I'm objectively wrong, and I need to delete my channel because I don't know anything about Star Wars or movies or whatever. I did rank every single Star Wars movie, and I also made a video about The Last Jedi and some of the sequel movies and stuff. I'll leave those videos in the description box below and in the comment section. I'm not a fan of any of the Star Wars prequels. I'm not a fan of the era. I'm not a fan of the story. I'm not a fan of the Chosen One arc. I don't like what they did with Anakin. I could go on and on. With the sequels, I think The Force Awakens is a C movie. I think The Last Jedi is a C+, and The Rise of Skywalker is a D to just an F. It's a fail. It's my second least favorite Star Wars movie. Not a fan of The Rise of Skywalker, but I do think the sequel trilogy is mediocre. I think the prequel trilogy is just not that great, not that good actually. I'm not a fan of those movies. I know some people say they're secret masterpieces, and they probably are secret masterpieces. I mean, people are making 2-hour videos about the prequel trilogy and how there's so many amazing masterpiece-like things in those movies, and they probably are secret masterpieces. That doesn't mean I have to like them, and it doesn't mean I have to find them to be good. Film is subjective. Liking certain parts of Star Wars is subjective. I mean, the Star Wars fan base has so many different types of fans. There's sequel fans, prequel fans, original trilogy fans, only Legends fans, the Old Republic fans, Knights of the Old Republic fans, because there is a difference, because Knights of the Old Republic fans, some of them don't like the Old Republic MMORPG game. such as myself. Like the way people feel about the sequel trilogy, I feel about the Old Republic MMORPG game. But yeah, I do find the sequel trilogy just to be mediocre. I don't find it to be really bad. Episode 9 is the only really bad thing about the sequel trilogy in my opinion, because it undoes a lot of what I liked about The Last Jedi, like Rey being a nobody, Snoke having an origin. I mean, I do think they should have revealed Snoke's origin in episode 9, but I don't think it should have been what they did in Rise of Skywalker. Apparently Palpatine was Snoke, and somehow Palpatine returned, which is one of the worst lines in movie history. And also it's upsetting, know what we could have gotten, because if you don't know, Colin Trevorrow had his own version of episode 9. It was the original plan, because they were afraid to take another risk like The Last Jedi and didn't want all the backlash and all that. But I would have really liked the sequel trilogy a lot more if they did the Duel of Fates, because I think the Duel of Fates script is the best Star Wars sequel trilogy story. They did great with Kylo Ren in the Duel of Fates. They didn't give him a redemption arc like Vader, because that would have just been predictable. Rise of Skywalker did that. Rey has an interesting story. She goes blind. She has a double-bladed lightsaber. Finn has a great story in the Duel of Fates script. I like what they do with Poe and Rey in that Duel of Fates script. I really wish they made the Duel of Fates, because I would have considered myself a sequel fan. I don't know if I do consider myself a sequel fan, because I mean, I do like episode 7 and 8, and I really do not like episode 9. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure saying the sequels are better than the prequels is an unpopular opinion, but it is certainly a controversial one, especially for prequel fans. But can we all agree that the original trilogy is the best? Like, episodes 4 and 5 are some of the best movies of all time, and episode 6 is a pretty good movie. In my opinion, I think the original trilogy is just a great trilogy, and then the prequels and sequels have a lot of problems. Like I said, I'm going to leave a link to my Star Wars video where I ranked every single movie if you want to hear more into detail why I don't like certain Star Wars movies and why I do like certain Star Wars movies, because I couldn't fit it all into this video, or else we'll be here all day talking about the prequels, the sequels, and the originals, and the spin-offs too. I do like Rogue One a lot. Solo is just an okay film in my opinion. Alright, we just got through some of my unpopular opinions. Like I said in the beginning of the video, let me know your unpopular opinions in the comments down below, and your comment could be featured in my next unpopular opinions video.